Becoming the go-to expert in your industry is highly desirable because it means that you are known, loved, and trusted throughout your industry. And for as long as you live, you'll never have to chase clients or money again. But how we do that, how we become that, and how quickly we do that, that's changed over the years. Well, listen closely, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what we do behind the scenes for our coaching and consulting clients to help them be the go-to experts in their industry. And when you have that information, clients will rush to you instead of you chasing them. Now, in my humble opinion, being the go-to expert means that you have three things in place. One, you're omnipresent. Everyone knows you, everyone sees you. You're someone who's hard to miss. And two is that you have a very large audience of people who know you and trust you. Whether they are people you've worked with as clients, thousands of people you worked with as clients, or people who have become part of their community because they resonate with your message so deeply. And finally, you have built a huge network, a network of peers who support you, a network of people who look up to you, and competitors and copycats who try to steal the clients that you don't work with. What I want to say to you in this video is that there are lessons that I've learned for these past 7 years that makes everything that I'm saying irrefutable. Lessons that if you were to implement this, you would see drastic changes in your business and your life. You know, we talk about the concept of having clients chasing you. Like, that's a real thing. Like, we have really legitimate clients. One like Veronica, for example, who we worked with since 2019, started doing video for her in 2022. And she's got millions of downloads from her audio podcast, over 500,000 views since 2022 on her YouTube channel. And she's exploding right now. And it's because of everything that we've said that we're going to be talking about in this video. And just what's most important to me is ROI, right? When she puts out an offer, you can see how fast it fills up. And she puts the offer out on her podcast. She doesn't run ads. It's purely organic. She uses her podcast to build her email list. And email list has tens of thousands of people on it. And her podcast gets a lot of views. Not like Andrew Huberman level, but for what she's getting, it's miraculous to see every month the comments that she gets are flooding and the clients who come into her, and they really are engaged with all of her content and with everything that she puts out. Anyways, so we're going to be talking about three main things in this video. One is how to close the gap between where you are as an expert and what it takes to be a go-to expert. We're going to talk about omnipresence, how to show up everywhere, how to be someone that people can't miss. And we're going to be talking about how to deepen trust with those people so that when you then now put your offers out, it's oversubscribed. So closing the gap. Believe it or not, there is a gap that exists between where you are now and where you want to be as a go-to expert. If there wasn't, then you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But there is a gap. And even though you can talk about everything under the sun, about your offer, about your expertise for hours, nonstop, with full passion, there's still some things that exist that's blocking your way from totally transforming your business and totally transforming the rate at which you build an audience. Think about it. You can see people who put out content on socials and they get a lot of views and a lot of comments and everything that they want. They want the shares, they get the shares. They want the saves, they get the saves. And you look at the content and it's not that much different from yours. But why is it that theirs is resonating more than yours is? So we need to close that gap. And there are three things to do when it comes to closing that gap. So to begin to execute on this, the first thing we want to do is to realize that you're suffering from the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is something that every expert falls into or gets afflicted by. It's normal. Don't feel singled out. Don't feel like, boy, you're one in a million. Everyone's affected by it. And everyone who is a go-to expert had to overcome the curse of knowledge. Now, what is the curse of knowledge? The curse of knowledge is that you understand so much about your industry, so much about the ins and outs, all the places where people can fall short, you've fallen short and you've learned, all the different nuances and intricacies of what you know, what you've learned, all the credentials and qualifications that you've gained have given you a significant amount of knowledge in the way that now your mental synapses are all firing, are all connected when it comes to your topic that it's become second nature. You develop a shorthand when you talk about it, when you think about it, when you apply your expertise to solve the problem. The challenge with that now is that you can no longer see things from a beginner standpoint. You no longer have a novice's mind. And you need to have a novice's mind because that is where your clients are. They don't see things the way that you see them. They don't have that second hand, that shorthand to talk about all the things that you talk about. They only have their problems. They're like a baby. They're crawling on the ground. They may hit a wall. They may try to get up and fall. They don't have those fully developed legs where they can run and jump and fly. But you do. And you need to be able to understand that they're a baby and you need to be able to communicate to them like they're a baby. Now, don't mean talk to them like they're 5, but I mean, understand them for where they are, understand the problems that they're going through at that stage, and understand the language that they're using at that stage. They're not going to tell you that they have a productivity problem and they need to find fulfillment and happiness and be more productive. No, they're going to tell you, I feel stuck. They're going to tell you, I need to get stuff done. They're going to tell you, I'm overwhelmed. So to cure the curse of knowledge, it's one, being aware that you have it, as everyone does, being aware of the language that you're using and understanding the language that your ideal client is using. And that's actually the second part of this. You need to be able to understand the language that your ideal client is using. It's potentially very easy to do, but so many people don't do it because we think that we've gone through this entire process. We know the full breadth of everything that can go wrong because we've seen everything go wrong for our clients that we've helped, that we can tell them what they need. I can look at you and you can say to me, I just need to get some more clients. And I can tell you, you need to get more traffic to your offers. Nobody knows, but those people don't understand what that means. I want more clients. That's the language. So how do we begin to solve that problem? The first thing we need to do is talk to our clients. Talk to our current clients, talk to our past clients, find 10 of them, let's get on a call with them and ask them those questions. What is it that you're struggling with? What is the problem that you were facing when you decided to come for a solution? In what way did that hurt? Where was the pain there? What was the thing that you did, or what were the things that you tried and why didn't they work? What was the deciding factor? What made you decide to seek a solution? When you saw that I had a solution, what made you decide to reach out to talk to me or to become a client of mine? And you don't want to paraphrase. You want to get the exact words that they're using. So record that conversation, transcribe it, whatever. You want to get the exact words, exact language that they're using, the verbs, the nouns, the exact thing. And it can be just as easy as taking that exact language and applying that to everything that you put out in your content, all of your marketing. And you will see how that begins to transform. That is the whole game here. If you're not seeing a transformation from being an expert to being a go-to expert, it is because of this. It is because if you are putting out content and no one's biting, no one's leaving a comment, no one's liking it, no one's saying, that's exactly what I'm going through, or this is exactly what I needed today. No one's booking at a rate in which you think for the content you're putting out, you should be getting that. You need to be looking at that, the language that you're using. And the third thing here in the whole idea of closing that gap is you need to change or stop putting out how-to content. I don't know if it's because of Gary Vee and his jab, right hook, or it's because we believe in the psychological principle of reciprocity, where we feel like if we give enough value, we'll get what we want in return, which is client, which is building a community. But the way in which we give out how-to content is actually hurting us than helping us. Now, what do I mean by that? Think about the person who you see online and they're always saying, this is how you do this. They may have great hooks and they may give out great pieces of content that really help you to move from point A to point B, but they just become the source of that. They just become the how-to people. They become the people you go onto YouTube and say, how do I do this? Watch their video, go out and implement it for yourself, or just say, I'll say this for later. They don't become the people who can make a transformation from, I know I've watched your video and I'm now going to become a client of yours. And to solve it, it doesn't mean to not put out how-to content. But there's a way in which we can talk about what we're talking about in a way that elicits a transformation. And if you are looking for an example on how to do that, you can watch this video again. Let's be honest here. I know that you're not putting out content for people to say, that's great, this is great stuff. Free value is not valuable. If you are thinking about putting out free value, you're not putting out something that people want. So if somebody values what you're putting out, means that you've invested your time and effort to make it, and probably some money as well. And so this value has to be rewarded. And how you deliver the information is what will determine if it will be rewarded or not. So have we closed the gap? Have we become aware of our curse of knowledge and have begun to change that and peel away all the layers of our expertise that we've built up and the language around that? Have we found 10 of our clients, past or present or prospects, and asked them the questions about what it is that they're going through to find the language which we can use to then influence future clients and all of our marketing material and content? Future Paul here. I realized I didn't tell you about the second way in which you can get the language of your ideal customer without having to talk to them. You can actually do this before you have the conversation with your 10 current or past or potential clients to get that language. You can use ChatGPT 4.0, their new deep research tool, right? So basically in the prompt, tell them about your business, what you do, who you help, and then give it the specific questions I mentioned before, like what are the pains, what are the problems, and ask it to give you the language that they're using for each of those things. And it will go out there and it will search the web and it will find for you and build an ideal profile for you, give you all the demographics, everything. You can ask them where they hang out. It'll go and it'll build a pretty good ideal client profile for you, which you can then use as a starting point to begin to shape your content when you put it out there. And then as you have the conversations, you can then enrich that even more and make it even more real and more valuable and even more targeted, that language you're using from the people directly. So think about that. It's pretty cool. And finally, have we decided to move away from making how-to content and making transformational content, which is designed to give people value? Yes. Exceptional value? Yes. Valuable value, not free stuff? Yes. But also is influencing a transformation to be made. Because people can only transform when they work with you, when you help them. Otherwise, it's just getting information. If you've done all that, we've closed the gap. Congratulations. It's time now to become omnipresent. Now, 7 years ago, when I started my company, I decreed that I was going to not put out content. I'm going to do everything in the world. I'm going to get referrals. I'm going to send cold outreach. I'm going to go in Facebook groups and talk to as many people as I can. I'm going to send Instagram DMs, but I'm not going to put out content. I didn't believe that I wanted to dance for my supper, as you will. And that was the stupidest decision that I ever made. And since December or November of last year, I've been making an effort to change that. If I could go back to 7 years ago, I would have done that. I would start over and I'd start over making content from day one. And why is that? It's because everything has changed. 2020 came and went, and with 2020, the entire world just leapt forward in technology. The thing happened, which I don't need to go into, but what that brought about was a digital renaissance. People were flocking online because that was the only way to communicate, to learn, to work, everything. So schools shut down, Zoom opened. Offices shut down, Zoom became the workplace. And it became easier for people to learn online. Whereas before 2020, only the most progressive of companies were even dipping their toe in this whole idea of remote work. Now, after 2020, it was commonplace. Now, with that shift in technology, there was also a shift in a cultural shift as well. And that cultural shift meant now digital spaces became prime real estate, became places where people would set up shop. Businesses would live there, schools would live there, social circles would gather there on all these platforms. And with that cultural shift also meant a lot of money and attention flooded in, and the digital economy just boomed at that point. Now, algorithms like the YouTube algorithm, like Instagram, TikTok, they all evolved to take advantage of this new renaissance, this digital renaissance. And those platforms became the battlegrounds that we are all fighting on today. And these algorithms became so efficient at disseminating and attention and getting people discovered that it's now irresponsible to not be using those platforms to the fullest extent. And that is the basis of what it means in 2024, in 2025, what it means to be omnipresent. Omnipresence in the digital renaissance means, can you show up everywhere as many times as possible? Because you don't know what platform those people will be on. I have clients who have seen me on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on YouTube because they all hang out in those places. And your clients are probably the same. In the daytime, maybe scrolling on TikTok, but in the nighttime, they're sitting down, settling in on their couch and watching YouTube on TV. Can you show up in those places? Organic marketing using social media like YouTube and all these platforms has become so powerful. These algorithms have become so powerful that they're now competing with running ads. You almost can't run a successful ad campaign without pairing it with a very reliable and robust organic campaign as well. So there's almost no way to avoid what's happening here. So how do we begin to capitalize that? Before we do that, I just wanted to touch real quick on what I said about ads. Now, ads are still very powerful. And if you do run ads, definitely keep doing that. But as I also said, think about pairing an organic strategy along with that. Because of the fact that trust, while it's exploded and now it's now easier to trust now because of the whole digital renaissance, people are looking for other ways to build trust. They're looking for other ways to verify your credentials. And if you want to be the go-to expert, you need to have a lot of yourself showing up everywhere so that people have enough content of you organically to say, I know you and I can trust you. So you may run ads. And usually there was a very myopic view about running ads, right? It was a very narrow funnel. People saw the ad, went to a landing page, maybe sign up for something free or sign up for a webinar, got on that webinar, and then made a purchase. That myopic view, that isolation, that singular path is gone now. Because people, once they see the ad and they see it's something that's interesting, they may click on the ad, yes, they may sign up for something for free, but they're not going to give you their credit card to buy anything until they do their own research. And so they're Googling you and looking for your website. They're going to your Instagram, looking in your link in bio. They're going on YouTube and seeing, have you been interviewed there on a podcast? Or do you have your own podcast? Or do you have your own content? They're doing their research. And so you need to be in all those places. And we're going to talk about two things here in the whole idea of being omnipresent. One is the New Wealth Formula. Now, the New Wealth Formula is something that I came up with, which is basically the three things that need to be in place for you to not only be omnipresent, but to make the most out of the omnipresence. And when you pair this omnipresence, this New Wealth Formula, with the gap that you've closed in section 1, you're going to be unstoppable. The idea of you becoming a go-to expert is going to be inevitable. Anyways, the new wealth formula is this. Number 1 is you have to be good at the thing that you're teaching, your expertise. Number 2 is you have to put content out there that show your expertise and show up everywhere you can. And number 3 is out of your control, but you need to be seen by your ideal audience, and then they would then come in and form a part of your community. If you've all 3, you are ready to win the game. You already have part 1, which is to know what you're talking about. And we've shown you about how to close the gap. So that part is going to be very strong. Number 2, which is showing up everywhere. We already spoke about posting on YouTube, being there on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all those places. And there is a way to do it in which you're not driving yourself crazy. You're not burning yourself out. You're not trying to put out hundreds of pieces of content all over the place. It starts with identifying where is your main source going to be. I suggest the main source is going to be a podcast. It's going to be a audio and video podcast. If you have a podcast, you are now multimodal. You are now the ultimate flexibility. People can be tuning into your episode when they're driving, dropping their kids off to school, when they're going for a run or doing the dishes. Or they could be watching you when they watching that same episode when they get home and they sit on the couch and put you on the TV, or on a second screen when they're working on their computer, or as they're scrolling through social media, maybe they're on Instagram Reels, just doom scrolling in the night time before bed, and they will see you there as well because they're posting your clips there. And there are automated ways in which we can repurpose our long form content, but the gist of the idea is that you're taking that one main part, which is your podcast, and you're using that by repurposing to show up everywhere you can. And it's all feeding back. It's all a one giant funnel or one giant flywheel, one giant gravitational pull back to your podcast, which is going to be whether on Spotify and or on YouTube. And that is going to be where people are becoming a part of your hub, a part of your community, and they're building a relationship with you. So they're going to Google you when they see your ad or they see something about you online somewhere. They're going to say, who's that person? They're going to Google you. And you're going to show up on your website is going to show up there. And your podcast is going to be on our website. They're also going to see you on YouTube, but they look for you there. What content have you put out? They'll see your podcast there on YouTube as well. On Spotify, if they look for you there, they'll see your episodes there as well. And when they go to your Instagram, they're going to see your reels. Or if you're scrolling on TikTok, they'll see you there as well. Can you see the makings of being omnipresent? Now, the problem is, and this is a problem I've faced myself since doing this new experiment of putting out content since November of 2024, is you need to have platform awareness. It's not enough, and trust me, you can take my word for it. It's not enough to just take whatever clip you made for Instagram and to put it on LinkedIn. It's not enough to take that same video and put it on TikTok. I have done that. To save myself time, I recorded my long form episode. I made the clips from that episode, and I put the pieces the same clip onto TikTok, onto Instagram, onto YouTube Shorts, onto LinkedIn, onto Twitter. And what I would realize is that it might perform very well on LinkedIn, but it's bombing everywhere else. Or it might go very well on Instagram Reels, but it just kind of was a fart in the wind everywhere else. I didn't have platform awareness. So while we are thinking about repurposing our content to be omnipresent, we need to also be thinking about how do we show up uniquely for each platform to make the most out of our content, because it does not make sense. And like I said, take my word for it. It does not make sense to put the content out on a platform and it doesn't go anywhere. It will not do anything for you. We've tracked this. We've seen where we've tracked all of our content we put out, and we see what platform is driving content, is driving traffic to our offers. And the places where the content doesn't perform, just showing up doesn't do anything for you. You have to have platform awareness. And when you have the platform awareness and you're creating the content for that platform, it does resonate, it does cause an action to be taken, and then they will take the action relevant, which is to go to your offers and become a client there, or go to your long form content, your podcast or YouTube, and subscribe and be warmed up by it, or go to your freebies to join an email list and build a relationship there. The last part of this process is you need to be able to build trust consistently. And that word consistently is the whole game here. Listen, scammers are a thing. Scammers, they come on and they have great marketing, but they don't deliver. They have great salespeople. I am a sucker for great marketing. I'll go and buy a course because a salesperson is like, I've listened to your problems, I've listened to your goal, I think I can help you, and this is going to help you in the next 30 days, take my money. And what happens is you get into these programs and it's nothing that what you expected it to be. And you've wasted your money, you've been robbed. I've been there, I've seen that. It's very prevalent now, and people are aware of that. People are already being scammed by that. And so when they're looking for people to work with, they're looking for a track record. If you come on the scene and you're talking a good talk, but you have no bank of content, you have no longevity in the space, the trust is not going to be there. So show up, yes, but show up consistently. Put your content out over time. Now, what makes this showing up consistently effective, or what makes it ineffective, is to only be riding trends. Trends are great because if it's trending, you can ride that wave and you can surf that big 40-foot wave, and everyone will see your content. Everyone will see you flying high, and you build an audience that way. You build attention that way. But that content, trendy content, doesn't last long. Once a trend dies, if you're writing a news story, in 24 hours the news story is gone and you are also gone as well. In order for us to make the most out of consistency, we have to create evergreen content. Meaning the same thing that your customers are having a problem with today, they'll have a problem with next week, they'll have a problem with next year. So if I am watching your content in 2026, I can still get the same amount of benefit as I got if I watched it today. Evergreen content is going to be the unlock here. How do you communicate in the language of their pain points and their problems and their aspirations and goals, and create content around that, transformational content around that? And if you put that out on a consistent basis, so at least weekly, you're going to build an organic audience around that. And that audience is going to continue to grow and compound and snowball because you're showing up weekly, putting out evergreen content. Meaning, if the people next year are still going to be coming back, are still going to be finding you and finding it valuable. Another reason why showing up consistent is going to be the game changer for you is because people want to see a familiar face. Now, I imagine you have friends and you've known your friends for 20 years. There are only a very small number of people, probably most people can count on one hand, who you would be comfortable leaving your kids with. Am I right? Knowing that, how is it that you're going to expect that people are going to see you today and want to give you $5, $10, $20, or $50,000? If people they've known for decades, they wouldn't trust with their own kids. So you need to show up consistently and become that familiar face, that trusted face, that person I see every week who's always there to support, always there to guide and help, always there to give me valuable content, always there to invite me to, hey, come closer. Work with me. Let me actually help you with this problem that you're having. Let me actually help you with this problem that you're having. If repurposing your content and making it platform specific is something that you want to do, but you don't have the bandwidth to do that, your team also doesn't have the bandwidth to do, me and my team can help out. If it just means you want guidance on just launching the podcast with all the best practices and the best ways for us to make the most of your launch and the momentum towards growth and getting your first 10,000 listeners, that's something that we can help with. And we have the expertise to do that. So link in the description below. Building trust is complicated. I'm not going to sit down here and tell you it's going to be easy. It's going to be a walk in the park. The reality is the internet, the digital renaissance is here. It's in full effect. It's time to capitalize. It's time to actually go forth and say, if I want to become a go-to expert in my industry in 2025, I need to be omnipresent. I need to build an audience. And then I will sell that audience that I've built organically, my products and services. And in order for me to do that, I need to become a familiar face. I need to show consistently, provide value consistently. And the trust building process will take however long it takes to happen. Because here's the truth. There's no way to shortcut this process. You can run ads, but people want to see you. They want to see that you're consistent. They want to see you showing up there. They want to build that trust with you. So it's best to get started. If there's anything that I can help with, definitely let me know. Leave a comment on below if there's something that I've missed, and I will be sure to address it in the comments down below or in a future video. There may be another video here that YouTube thinks that you want to see here. If there is, go ahead and click that, and I'll see you over there. Talk soon.